thank you to Plug and Play Istanbul for having me as a speaker. I wish I could be there in person, and I almost was. Although I recorded this a week before Powering the Future, I was actually in Istanbul, at the airport 4 days ago, and the lounge was great. At least I hear it will be great. And in 2 weeks, I'll be passing through again. Just a little bit about me. I graduated from Carnegie Mellon with a degree in computer science, moved out west to Silicon Valley, where I spent 14 years, 2 as a principal in a startup company, followed by 20 years at Sempra Energy, and now, the last 5, as CEO of Krevat Energy Innovations, where I sit on boards and advisory boards, helping a dozen or so startup companies that are helping to mitigate climate change. I also have a podcast called The Climate Champions and a YouTube channel with the same name. Check it out. It's mostly about powering the future. And when it comes to powering the future, Ted Craver of Edison International said in 2010, so 13 years ago, the power industry faces more change in the next 10 years than we've seen in the last 100. And he was right. But it's time to strap on your seatbelt and hope your EV has airbags, because the power industry is only beginning to see what change is all about. Not only is the power industry changing, but the human race is at an inflection point in many ways. During our lifetime, we're witnessing basically the first few decades where the rate of population growth starts to go negative. We're seeing new diseases, but also the capability to quickly develop vaccines. We're seeing war, but witnessing much of the world trying to come together. We're experiencing the effects of a changing climate, but are innovating tools to mitigate the impact. But success is far from guaranteed. What we do in our lifetimes will determine whether we reach that Star Trek type prosperity. Okay, back to energy. An interesting fact about electricity, just like a happy life, it needs to be balanced, generation and load. Until fairly recently, this was easy. We electrified stuff like refrigerators, and then we centrally burned stuff. We electrified more stuff, TVs, more centralized burning, then air conditioning, and so on. But now we clearly see the effects of taking millions of years of stored carbon out of the ground and putting it into our atmosphere. Luckily, we weren't at this point 50 years ago when we didn't have the tools to do something about it. We do now, and they're being deployed for good reason in waves. I use the model of waves because while one wave is ahead of another, they're all moving at the same time, and it's a long, long journey. Wave 1 is solar and wind. They're out in the lead, falling in price when there aren't trade wars or supply chain issues, and being deployed in greater numbers every year. And startups are pushing these technologies even further. For example, I'm on the board of Pi Energy. They make solar less than a micron thick, flexible, inexpensive, and no supply chain issues. Another reason solar and wind are out in front is because until they make up a significant percentage of generation, the existing electric grid can handle the intermittency. At 10, 20, 30, even 50%, traditional spinning generation can react quickly enough to avoid significant electric quality issues or collapse, something that can happen at higher levels. So up steps Wave 2, energy storage. At lower levels of solar and wind, the grid didn't need it very much. So lagging investment, technology innovation, and manufacturing optimization was okay. But happily, we are past that point. And in large part, due to the requirement of batteries to power electric vehicles, the world is now seeing significant investment in storage. Batteries with minimal software can slow the ramp rate of energy generation intermittency due to cloud cover or the wind stopping and starting, which gives traditional generation a chance to react. Also, batteries can store and discharge when there's too much or too little renewable energy on the system, and even help to lower customer costs by providing an opportunity to arbitrage or reduce demand charges. And with Wave 3, batteries can provide even more benefits, as can wind and solar, with the aid of fast grid control. Software products have been coming to market that orchestrate a combination of solar, wind, storage, and traditional generation to enable even higher percentages of renewable energy by ensuring that frequency and voltage stay in range. Even 100% renewables is possible with the presence of enough year-round wind or sun. And during sunny weeks or months, 100% renewable grids are becoming more and more common. Many of these grids are island microgrids. In addition to air quality issues and the high cost of diesel, they can more easily justify the investment. Still, many of these microgrids depend on some level of carbon-based generation just in case there isn't enough solar or wind or money for batteries, especially since these islands generally already own these generators. And that is where my final wave, long-term storage, comes in. Our least expensive and dangerously common long-term storage solutions are carbon-based. Coal, natural gas, oil, they're comparatively inexpensive, relatively easy to take out of the ground where they've been developing for millions of years, shipped worldwide, and used to make power exactly when power is needed, not intermittently. I hope you caught me when I said comparatively inexpensive, because not included in that price is the true full cost to society in terms of pollution, health, and of course, climate change. But while it is admirable and inspirational to see zero GHG energy goals from some cities, countries, and even companies, without a fourth wave of reasonably priced long-term energy storage, civilization will continue to burn fossil fuels. And while the fourth energy technology wave is trailing the other three, you can see it forming. There's significant investment and it's growing, both from governments and venture, and an array of potential technologies, such as hydrogen, various battery chemistries, flow batteries, even building concrete towers and generating energy when the bricks are lowered. Gravity. Until these costs come down, it's going to be very difficult to get to 100% greenhouse gas-free technology. So that's the four ways that are changing and will continue to change generation. And I know I didn't include nuclear, oceans, and some other forms of generation. These are waves that are out in the distance. When they are cost competitive, reliable, safe, and secure, I'll talk more about them. I strongly believe we need all arrows in the quiver when they are ready to compete. But what about the other side of the equation? Balance. There's potential for tremendous innovation on the load side as well. Some of that innovation comes from intelligent systems and some from new loads that ride the four waves. I'm very excited about load side balance, shaping the load. While energy nerds like me have long talked about incentivizing customers to use energy based on pricing, it is not yet delivered in the way we had hoped. I once developed a day-ahead hourly rate with the awesome Cindy Fang back at San Diego Gas and Electric, and both of us couldn't be more excited. For electric vehicles, more on that later, it actually worked very well. But as a whole house rate, let's just say on the first day over 90 degrees, my wife told me what I could do with our Energy Smart rate. I put the air conditioner on high and called the utility. But still, we've come a long way. First, Energy Star appliances have done a great job from an energy efficiency perspective, keeping load from growing too much. And more recently, LED light bulbs have changed the game on lighting, so much less expensive and less heavy on the grid. But those items don't really help with balance, since they pretty much reduce usage without taking supply into account. To really shape the grid, to balance renewable generation, it is the smart loads that will make it happen. But smart loads need more dynamic, smart rates, not the fixed rates most of us have today. With fixed rates, there's no reason for electric customers to change their behavior. With time of use rates, where there are usually a few blocks of time each day and for different seasons that have different rates, there can be a change of behavior for both humans and machines. But if you take it a little further, transactive energy, where rates are constantly changing based on supply and demand, you get humans that aren't too happy or able to deal with changing rates, but smart devices that can really help customers save money and keep the grid balanced. Once these rates are in place, time of use or transactive, devices need to keep customers from dealing with the complexity and also save them money. Enough money to make it matter. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS is extremely important. Loads that are naturally flexible, like electric vehicles, fleets, even swimming pools, are pretty easy because it usually doesn't matter when they are charged, used, or the pumps run, as long as the pool is clean. And even more exciting and important about electric vehicles, they aren't just load. They're also batteries and can perform the same function as stationary storage and more. In addition to helping the grid with power quality issues, vehicle to grid, they can also act as the centerpiece of a home microgrid when the utility isn't delivering power. I work with a company, Connect DER, that has a meter adapter that sits between the meter and the meter socket. It enables vehicles to charge and discharge and also provides safe isolation from the grid when it's down. Other loads can be more tricky. Dishwashers, refrigerators, cooling and heating systems have to take customer needs and preferences to heart. One or two mistakes, dishes not getting cleaned for a family celebration, refrigerators spoiling food, or the house being too hot or too cold, could result in customers abandoning their technology. Even with electric fleets, technology companies focus on optimizing the cost of charging and even discharging to make money servicing the grid. But according to a company I advise, Move, M-O-E-V, customers care much more about having the vehicles charged and ready when they need them. So in summary, the 4 waves of greenhouse gas-free energy systems are here and growing. Solar and wind are improving all the time. Batteries are following close behind. Grid controllers are evolving to optimize renewable energy and even enable grids that are 100% renewable. And yes, we still do need less expensive long-term storage, but innovation is underway. That, coupled with more complex rates that incentivize people, but mostly systems, to use energy when it's less expensive and cleaner, in addition to flexible loads like EVs to ride the waves, will bring us a decarbonized electric grid. Thank you very much for your time. If you like the discussion, please check out my podcast or YouTube channel, The Climate Champions. I love feedback, so please reach out. Just head over to Krevat Energy Innovations and drop me an email. Thanks again, and enjoy the conference.